first rule of money. So those who know about compound interest can earn it. Those who do not. In the same vein, though, it can work in your favor as an investment, right? And in those cases, we call it a rate of return. Okay, so let's talk about the effect of compounding interest, right? Whatever you do over time can add up, right? In this case, we're going to talk about finances. So let me introduce you guys to a very simple formula. It's called the rule of 72. If you use this formula, 72 divided by 0.5, you guys. Am I awake or am I dreaming? All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. Here is the second episode in 3 rules of money that we're going to be covering. So we talked about compound interest last week. And if you didn't catch that video, take a look in the description for last week's video, which again was about compound interest. And I actually talk about this simple formula, as you can see on the screen, right, on how you can start growing your money much more quickly. All right, guys. So rule number 2, where you put your money is obviously going to impact how and when it's taxed. Now, I want to just start off by saying I am not a CPA. I am not a tax professional, but I am a financial professional, right? And licensed realtor where I help people invest better. So I just want you to know I am not a CPA or tax professional, but if you do want to reach out to one, I do have a couple to refer, but as always, please refer to your tax experts. Now, let's talk about taxes. Let's take a look at one of my, not I should say favorite, but this is kind of ironic. So Benjamin Franklin actually said that nothing is certain in this world except for death and taxes. A bit morbid, but it's actually true, right? We all are, not all, but a lot of us pretend like death is never going to happen. And if you are an independent contractor, AKA my real estate buddies, my real estate agent friends, we all pretend like taxes don't exist, right? So, but all kidding aside, there's actually 3 tax families that I want to briefly go over today. We have tax now, we have tax later, and we have tax advantaged, right? You can kind of get an idea, and maybe you're already familiar on some things when it comes to these tax families. But a lot of us find ourselves where, and that's the tax now family, right? Maybe if you're investing in real estate, stocks, mutual funds, when you get your paycheck from work, you're constantly taxed now. You typically have a very high tax burden, right, guys? So where do we look to potentially reduce our tax burden? Well, a lot of us are taught to consider tax later accounts, right? And maybe even tax advantage accounts. But with tax later accounts, you guys, such as a 401k, a 403b, IRA, TSP for my military friends out there, pensions, annuities. Now, I'm not knocking any one of these, but I'm simply going to say that your tax burden is likely to be higher, right? Already by my saying that, I bet you I'm going to stir up some disagreements over here. But let's be honest, you guys, if you're investing your money and it's growing, I would presume and I would hope that the amount of money you have in that account in the future is going to be higher, right? So let me ask you this. Would you rather pay taxes on the amount of $10,000 or on the amount of $640,000? Now, don't consider any other variables other than the quantity of money. Where would you rather pay taxes? Well, if you're me, I would rather pay taxes on the smaller amount, $10,000, because you guys, it's $10,000, right? 30% of $10,000 is $3,000. 30% of $640,000 is $192,000. So which one would you rather pay? For me, I'd rather pay money on the small amount, just obviously reduce my tax burden. Okay. So the thing about tax later, you guys, is first of all, we don't know what the taxes could be in the future, right? In the next 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So it's kind of like, what my favorite analogy, especially with my real estate background, imagine you're buying a house and you have no idea what your interest rate is. Would you go and buy a house? Now, if you remember from last week's episode where we talked about the effect of compound interest, it can either work in your favor or against you, right? Look at the effects of your rate of return and your growth. Now, I want you to think about what it could do to your earnings, right? If you're paying interest, if you're paying debt, that's why people drown in credit card debt, because of high interest rates. So would you, in good faith, purchase a house not knowing the interest rate? What if it's 2%, 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50%? Probably not, right? And the reality is, taxes could go up, they could go down. I believe it's very likely that they will go up in the future, just based on what has happened historically and what is kind of happening right now in this climate we're in. So would I put my faith in speculation, or would I want to, know for sure? So again, I'm not knocking this. I'm just simply saying I would love for you to keep more of your hard-earned income, right? We work hard for our money. And so the less that we can pay in taxes, the better, in my opinion. Right, guys? Now, the thing about a 401k, 403b, and a TSP, by the way, guys, is also we got some age requirements, right? You can't touch that money with a 401k until you're 59 and a half. Now, I am 31 at the time of this video being filmed. You guys, I have a long ways to go, knock on wood, provided everything goes good over the next few decades, right? But what if I need to access my money before then? Or what if I want to? I don't have very much flexibility. So in my mind, knowing what I know today as a business owner, I view 401ks and really all of these bells and whistles that we find in employment as a way to keep employees, right? And to retain them. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But, a lot of people have the goal of being vested with their companies, and it really ties you up financially if you think about it. Now, you can't touch that money till you're 59 and a half. And did you know it is subject to the volatility of the market? Now, I don't know about you, but to put all my hard-earned income, my retirement, my life savings in a volatile vehicle would freak me out, right? Especially with what's going on now, what happened back in 2008. Literally, people had to go back to working at Starbucks, to make ends meet. So I hate to wish that on anybody. I would love for you guys to be more informed about this. And again, if you have questions particular to your case, please get with me and let's talk about it, right? But this is just some basic information that we're not typically taught in school. Now, of course, when I talk about tax advantaged accounts, most people will consider what is known as a Roth IRA. And again, I'm not knocking it, right? Hey, at least you're saving money, great. But if you could save your money and have more of it, wouldn't you want to? And also accessibility, liquidity. And there's limitations as to your income requirements, or I should say your income limitations, right? Last I checked, as soon as you make over $150,000, you can no longer contribute to a Roth if you make too much money, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, that may not be an option for you. And you're limited to how much you can contribute, $6,000 per year. Now, that's a lot of money for a lot of people, but to really achieve financial freedom, $6,000 is not going to move the needle very much, right? So what do the rich and wealthy do? Well, I'm happy to talk about that. Again, if you guys have questions, let me know. But in my opinion, doing a Roth is probably a bit better than a 401k. However, you still have the limitations of the age requirement and the maximum contribution. Plus, these are tied to the volatility of the market. Right. So believe it or not, we can talk about this some more, and if you guys know me personally, you know how passionate I've become about educating families on little known tactics to save on taxes. One of which is an advanced strategy that many rich and wealthy families use, which is through long-term care benefits and cash value life insurance. Now, I'm not suggesting you go out and get some life insurance, point blank, but it could be an opportunity to potentially reduce your tax burden. All right. So that was about taxes. If you guys have any questions, get with me, drop a note in the comments, hit that like button. And as always, if I have stirred up some disagreements in you, let me know what you think. Maybe you disagree with me totally, and that's okay, because we're all entitled to our own opinions. And my mission is to help you achieve financial freedom, whether it be through passive income, entrepreneurship, what have you. Okay, so get with me if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys soon in the next video for the third rule of money. Stay tuned.
You're like a circle that floats around.